Hello ladies and gentlemen, Captain Shaq here. It's finally been revealed, X4 is on the way. Egosoft, the longtime developer of the classic space sim franchise, the X series, has finally given us the lowdown on what we can expect for the latest title. X4 is being marketed as a proper sequel to the X series. Now my favorite of the series is X3 Albion Prelude, which was released back in 2011. It's probably considered the last proper X game to be released. Now, the series has always been marketed as a game you could play any way you wanted. Fight, think, trade. Be it trading between space stations and empires with a cargo ship, investing in stations and production facilities to construct an economic empire, or command a fleet in combat. Or just play through one of the story-driven plot lines, of which X3AP had multiple. All while being able to fly every single ship in the game, which was a key feature in Albion Prelude. And that game had a massive number of ships, even before players started modding them in. We're talking about command carriers and battleships, all the way down to single-seat interceptors. Now don't get me wrong, all of the X titles have had their issues. Their confusing UI, their buggy pathfinding, and just strange interface setup that can quickly turn a player off. But for those who actually got into it, we loved it. Sadly, X Rebirth, which came out in November of 2013, failed on multiple levels to meet player expectations. It was a buggy piece of shit on release, shrinking the scale of the universe from hundreds of sectors to 5 zones or sectors? I don't know what they're calling them now. I don't know, the gameplay was such crap I never even got past the first zone, when it even bothered to work. They removed the well-known jump gates in favor of a highway system because somebody thought highways were fun, and they limited the number of ships that a player could fly to 1. Thankfully, it seems the devs are listening because some of these issues are being addressed in X4. It's been confirmed players will be able to fly any ship in the game, from a single fighter to a capital ship. They are, however, keeping the first-person walking around bit from X Rebirth. This time, it's a seamless experience, transitioning between the flying ship to walking around on the station. But this time you're on the station's outer hull, I guess? It does look cool, but will this limit the number of ships that we'll see in the game because they have to map out the interiors? During the live stream for the reveal of X4, a member of the audience asked if we'd see the Boron, a fish alien race. They had some really cool green living ships in the old games. And the answer was no. Does this mean we won't see the Boron in the game at all? Now, is this because it'd be hard to add the interiors of the Boron ships, or because the character models would be hard to create? Now, I know what you're thinking. It sounds really cool to be able to walk around the interior of your ship shack. Well, you'd think so. In X Rebirth, it was horrible. Each station looked the same and was filled with the same 10 or so ugly character models. And at the end of the day, there was no real gameplay added that was worthwhile with these interiors. X4's saving grace is the fact that you can walk up to the helm of any of these ships that you own and take direct control. Even cooler, they say you can recruit characters to crew these ships, something they sorta had in the last title, Rebirth. None of this really matters though if it doesn't feel alive. Now X4 is set to have a dynamic game through AI factions that will actively compete with each other. Now we're talking fleet management, force buildups, building and conquering areas of space, something I think they wanted in X3AP, but instead they just gave us a war between 2 factions focused on a set number of sectors. Proper wars were added later by modders, which I can attest to made the universe feel like a total war zone. With all the AI empires competing for territory, it'll be great to see an X title with this built in. On top of that, it'll have a real economy affecting each faction's ability to actually build up and take territory. One of the biggest issues that I've had with past X titles are the controls. Creating and organizing and ordering your trade empire or combat fleet takes a massive amount of time, flipping through page after page, window after clunky window to get set up. All I've ever wanted is a proper command overview screen from which I can give orders. This is in for X4. X4 has a reworked map that looks exactly like what I've wanted, at least I hope so. A way to, at a glance, see where my forces are, what they're doing, and most importantly, be able to give complex orders from a single screen. Now the economy in X4 is supposed to be fully fleshed out, and it better be. The economy is a foundation for the X universe. Now this time around, everything is based fully on supply and demand. From one end of the universe to the next, everything is mined, constructed, hauled. If you kill a transport hauling needed supplies into a system, the price for that good will go up because of its demand. The devs even say everything is produced somewhere, meaning hopefully an economic backbone to your empire will give you a needed advantage in combat. So it's not just about winning battles, but being able to recover from the losses suffered during those battles. Players can build stations like in all past X titles, but with a twist this time. Stations can be completely custom built out of modules. In Albion Prelude, you'd buy a station based on what you needed. A solar power plant, a farm, a missile production facility, and have it towed out to a location that you need it at and deployed. It looks like X4 you'll be able to start with a hub structure that allows capital ships to dock with it, and then you build off from that. Does this mean that we'll see less variety in stations? Will all of the solar stations creating energy cells all look the same? An amalgamation of solar cells sticking off this tree-like structure with no real difference between the races? I hate to say it, but probably. I'm not really thrilled with the idea of having each station just be a collection of modules instead of being a unique model that was built by an artist, with a purpose to match their design. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see different modules and tech for all the different races. Though what races are going to be in X4 has yet to be confirmed. Speaking of tech, X4 is going to have new technologies for players to find and research, like upgrades to your ship, and one big one that they've mentioned, the transporter is back, but this time, it'll let you transport to any ship you own in the universe, meaning that we can get right into the action. I love this idea. The X series can definitely be a slow one, and this should help out quite a bit. Swapping from my command carrier to a heavy fighter on the fly could be great fun. I'm told they've continued to build Rebirth and release patch after patch, making a better experience, and they've even released a VR version of it that you can buy separately. But I'm not really sure I want to jump back in and even give it a try. That's how badly that game burned me. Thankfully, X4 is on the way, and here's hoping that this new X game is the game we fans have been waiting for. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think so far of what you've seen of X4, and what is a make or break feature for you from the past games that you want to see in this new one? I'd love to read those comments. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video. Later, everybody.